He's hyper competitive. He wants to win every award. He's outspoken. He'll talk politics. He doesn't care. He'll tell you how he feels. He wants to dominate the all-star game. They call him the 80. His nickname is the Alien. And he's like, bring me your leader. I want to dunk on him. I love it. Jokic is great. He feels very Euro. Hates the all-star game. Instantly wants to go home after the season ends. Doesn't really care about endorsements. That is fine. That's a way to do it. But if you look at the MJs and the Magics, you know, the Dr. J's, the Shaqs, they're unapologetically ambitious. They like the money. They like the fame. They like the titles. They like what comes with it. I like that. You know, I think he's great. I think he's got kind of an American spirit. I think Giannis has developed one over time. I feel like with Wemby here posing, I love this, he had it the day he walked in the door. You know, he's kind of steak frites. It may be traditionally French, but let's be honest. It's steak and potatoes. That's as American as it gets. That's what he is. Traditionally French, but he's us. And he doesn't apologize for it. And from day one, he's been like this. He wants to dominate the all-star game. He wants a nickname. He's outspoken. Don't be embarrassed about it. All the great players, you know, whenever you read the media, sometimes they kind of roll their eyes at overly ambitious. The people that make the phone you're holding or the Waymo you get into, they're ambitious. They're not all brilliant. They didn't all go to Harvard, but they're unapologetically ambitious. That is Wemby. And he earlier this week, he talked about SGA winning the MVP.
Just curious if that was in your mind at all, knowing that Shea had got that award and you were in the top 3 for it. And, you know, did any part of tonight feel personal? Some of your facial expressions kind of look like you were really, really going for it.
Yeah, for sure. Everything you just said. I still got a lot to learn. And I want to get that trophy, you know, many times in my career.
Man, I absolutely love Wemby. Wemby and I get along so well. Just the fact that he admitted, I still have a lot to learn, and it wasn't just empty words, you know? It was a genuine recognition on his part, not that he doesn't want to be great. He wants to be incredible. He wants to be phenomenal. He wants to be the MVP practically every single year. But he still has a ton to learn. And to be able to acknowledge that during the playoffs while facing OKC is just remarkable. But before I dive in, San Antonio Spurs fans, please don't forget to subscribe and watch the entire video from start to finish, because that is unequivocally the best way to support the growth of this channel so I can continue producing the highest quality, most authentic, unbiased, level-headed San Antonio Spurs content out there. Please consider doing that, as it genuinely helps a tremendous amount. Anyway, yeah. I completely understand what Colin is saying about Wembanyama and how much he cares, and to me, that's the core of it. It's about how much he invests. As fans, we love watching players who actually care. It's not enjoyable to watch players who seem like we care more than they do. Right? I mean, we care more about the game. We care more about the outcome. That's been Jokic's whole reputation, where he acts like, oh, there's a parade. I don't even want to go. I don't even know where the trophy is. And it's like, shut up, man. Just shut up. Like, just be quiet, dude. You don't understand how people. You would do absolutely anything to be in your position. A lot of the time when we watch these players, that's why everyone plays so many video games too. We watch these games and we picture ourselves on the court. We imagine what we would do in those moments. We imagine if we got to be part of something like a parade, what it would feel like to be inside that truck or bus or whatever. Or we're waving. Or we want to imagine what it would be like to hit that logo 3 to tie the game. Even if we're just on the bench clapping our hands, right? We desperately want to live that life. So the idea that you have someone who just doesn't really care, or pretends like they don't care, just shut up. I hate when players lie. They say, oh, it's not about the stats. It's only about the wins. And it's like, you're a liar. I know you care about the box score. That's why, I forget who said it, one of them, either Kobe or MJ, they said, "I want to win, but I want to be the reason we win." I forget which one said that. And that's exactly right. That is perfectly correct. And I promise you there are some players, a lot of players, that when they get benched or they're not playing and they think they should be, a part of you, I've been there, a part of you is secretly hoping your team doesn't win so you can say, "I told you so. You need me." Or, "I'm important." And you know, it's not until you grow up and become more mature that you realize there's a lot more to it. But watching Wemby care, I mean. That's why he was so awesome to watch in the All-Star game, because he cared. Because he cared. That's why the All-Star game is peak unenjoyable, no matter how many crazy shots and ridiculous dunks they make. Because no one cares. No one cares. So why should I care? I actually took a screenwriting class in college. One of the best lessons I learned that I still remember, one of the only lessons I honestly still recall because, spoiler alert, I don't write any screenplays or anything like that. She talked about this famous screenwriting book, which again, I don't remember the title of. But she said you have to write characters that the audience will like. You can't write characters in a way where you don't like them. If you don't like the characters and you don't take them seriously, why should anyone else? Why would the audience? And you can tell when you watch a movie or a show, we see this when seasons take a turn and you can see that they don't respect the characters or even respect the audience. You think, "I don't like this." Especially when people make shows and they don't respect the audience, you think, "Why am I watching this?" They don't respect the characters, they don't care about the characters, and they don't care about the audience. They're just talking down to everyone. And it's not enjoyable. So a lot of times when a show is really good in the first few seasons, and then by season 4 or 5 it takes a turn and you think, "Why isn't this good anymore?" A lot of the reason is that. A lot of the time, it's exactly that. But this game is enormous. Game 2. For so many different reasons. Because to truly be the GOAT, to truly be special, to truly be elite, to truly be an alien, to truly be on another level, it's consistency. It is without question the most important ingredient of greatness. It's not individual performances or individual moments. Because there are plenty of players who have had unbelievable games, unbelievable performances, unbelievable moments, but they can't do it consistently. Think about it this way. You would be the GOAT if you just scored 25 points, 10 rebounds, and 10 assists every single game without fail, right? No deviation. Every single game. 25, 10, and 10 without question. Every single game for like 25 years. You would be considered the greatest, at the bare minimum clearly one of the greats. It's consistency. Consistency. And every time we think these new great players are arriving, what they often lack is consistency. We see incredible performances, incredible stretches, but it's like, what can you consistently do? And what is your floor? I still remember this so vividly, talking about certain NBA players. Because we always do this in basketball since there are so many games, and therefore so many individual performances that go up and down. You always hear people say, "Oh, if he could do this every game, let's just take a random player." I won't even name a name, but I'll use this person as an example. If he could do this every game, he would be a star for the Spurs. The Spurs would be so great if he could do that every night. And it's like, he can't do that every game, because if he could, he would be an absolute superstar. Right? He would be a total superstar. And that's why we see it even on this very team. You're going to have other players fluctuating up and down, going through ups and downs. And you just can't rely on those other players because they're not superstars. That is what makes a LeBron, a KD, a Steph. And that's not to say you can never have a bad game. Let's be very clear about that. That's not what I'm saying. If someone misunderstood my comment from yesterday, they were very confused because I said this is the worst version of Wemby we're ever going to see, and they said, "That's ridiculous. Do you think he can always have a 40-point, 25-rebound game?" And I said, "That's not what I mean. I'm talking about his overall skill set right now, given how far he is from his peak. That this will be the worst collective version of Wemby. Next year he'll be a better basketball player, and the year after that he'll be even better." So this is where, if you're a legend, if you're elite, if you're special, if you're Wembanyama the GOAT, right? You are this dominant, this unstoppable. I'm not saying you follow this game up with another 41 points and however many rebounds it was, 25 or whatever. I'm not saying you follow up exactly with that. But you still follow up with a big game. An impactful game. Unless the game doesn't need it. Unless the game unfolds in a way where Wemby doesn't have to insert himself as much, and everyone's making their shots. Champagne is 5 for 8 from 3, right? Harper's got it going, Castle's playing well. Then that's fine. That just shows how great the Spurs are. But if it's another close, contested game, and you can see how this kind of game is unfolding, I want to be able to see Wemby be that guy. And again, to be clear, because I've said this throughout the playoffs, it doesn't mean you force it to Wemby. It doesn't mean Wemby needs to insert himself in ways that don't make sense, right? We saw that earlier, especially in Portland, where there was too much of that emphasis. That's why I kept saying, treat it like Chet Holmgren, let the game come to you. Because you're so special, you're so great that you don't need to be fed the ball or insert yourself over and over again. You can let the game unfold. But that also doesn't mean you can disappear either, right? Doesn't mean you can vanish. And after he had such a huge game like this, I'm so excited to see how he plays, in the sense of, can he still maintain this mindset? Because like I said, we saw him earlier not maintain that. Or, again, I think of his first playoff game. There's a clear difference, and it's understandable, it's his first playoff game. There's a clear difference in how he played in that game and the type of shots he was trying to take and all of that. It was kind of like, Wemby, I love you. You're amazing. You're incredible. You're going to be so dominant for years to come. But you've got to settle down. You've got to calm down a little bit, buddy. You've got to take a deep breath. You've got to go for a walk. You've got to chill. And now he just had one of the most dominant performances of all time. People lost their minds over it. How does he carry that and handle that going into game 2? That again is going to show his level of maturity right now. So I am so fascinated to see what he brings and what this team brings as well, because I believe OKC is going to play better. They're going to play faster, more physical. They're going to be like, we are trying to make things incredibly intense, sped up, and uncomfortable. We didn't make things uncomfortable enough for you. I also feel like they're probably going to be quite physical with Wemby as well. It's going to be interesting to see how the officials call it. I feel like the refs are either going to be super tight with the whistle on both sides or super loose with the whistle. I think it'll be one or the other. Either we're saying, oh my god, we're getting so many ticky-tack fouls, or it's, nope, they're letting them play right now. And, advantage OKC or something, because everybody wants this to be a 7-game series. 7 games, right? Double overtime. They want to milk this. They don't want any team to go up 3-0 or 3-1. They want the drama, they want the back and forth. In many ways, the NBA and the media want to come in tomorrow and say, series tied 1-1. Alright, game 3. If it's 2-0, everyone starts saying, wow, OKC is done. San Antonio is about to win it all. No one can stop them. If OKC wins, it's like, alright, we're back to having a conversation. It's even. How important is game 3? Right? If San Antonio wins, it's like, of course we know how important it was for OKC to win game 1, because otherwise you'd be down 3-0. If it's 1-1, we get back to that conversation, how important is it for San Antonio to win their first home game? And if OKC wins tonight and then wins the next game, it's like, oh no, San Antonio is down 2-1 right now. And it just changes the conversation, it changes the energy all around. So it's just going to be interesting to see how this all unfolds. I obviously cannot wait. This is so great. This is so great. It's funny, I'll end here and I'm going to talk about the New York Knicks in my next video because I haven't had a chance to break down that game yet. That game was awesome and great, but nowhere close to the level of quality of play we saw the other night. It still went to overtime and had all that, but it was a different level. It was like watching an overtime college game or high school game, and this is the absolute premier next level pros. So I'm just curious to see what game 2 looks like, how it unfolds, the individual performances, and what kind of back and forth, if any, we get. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you all think about the San Antonio Spurs and Wembanyama? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Agree with me or disagree, let's get into some arguments, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be a part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really does help with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.